Hey y'all, today we're going to talk about flexibility and yoga. So in Western physical-based yoga practices, these two things often get really linked together. And so I want to look at that a little bit today. I'm sure you've heard, maybe you've even said yourself, I'm not flexible enough to do yoga. Okay, I want to say this once and for all, loud and clear, you do not need to be flexible to practice yoga, okay? So practicing yoga asana regularly, which is just one limb of yoga practice, but to practice physical yoga, over time you will probably increase your flexibility. But it's not a prerequisite of yoga, and it's certainly not the intent. The way that these two things have come together is really based in this very aesthetic, performative, physical approach that we see dominating in the West. So let's unpack this a little bit. There is no health benefit to being able to do the splits or to put your foot behind your head or even really to touch your toes. And I mean this holistically. Practicing yoga regularly has a number of health benefits, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. But flexibility really doesn't have a role in this. You're not healthier because you can put your legs here rather than here in a straddle pose. There's a number of factors that impact flexibility, and your flexibility can fluctuate day to day, time of day, the time of the month for people who menstruate, the amount and quality of sleep you got the night before, the activities that you've been engaging in before your practice, even external factors like the temperature of the room you're practicing in. All of these play a role. And then there's our bone structure, which is unique to every one of us. So while over time you might be able to stretch and elongate muscles and connective tissue with consistent practice, the shape of our bones can create an endpoint that there's just no stretching past. So this brings me to an important distinction: flexibility versus mobility. With physical yoga practice, we can increase our range of motion and mobility is linked to greater health and longevity. When we're talking about mobility or range of motion, we're talking more about joints rather than muscles. And so we're talking about the capacity for a joint to move and thus the ease of the body to move through space. Flexibility plays a role in mobility, but it's not the whole story. So I invite you to make this subtle shift in your approach to your practice. Rather than thinking, oh, I have to be flexible to even start practicing yoga. Instead, think about physical practice as a way to start to investigate and explore your range of motion. What is your natural capacity for range of motion? And then by identifying sticky spots and areas of limitation, you can start to bring attention and intention to aspects of your practice and see if you can start to open up that range of motion over time. And doing that work, you will see a benefit in your day-to-day life. Being able to do the splits, you're probably not going to notice any benefits from that in your day-to-day life. I love asana practice, and I think it can be an incredible gateway to increased health, well-being, and spiritual development. But it's precisely for that reason that I think we need to challenge performative, aesthetic-based approaches to yoga and move towards practices that are more functional and intentional, that are individualized and welcoming and accessible to all bodies. Yoga is not about being able to touch your toes or do the splits or hold a perfect bird of paradise. Being able to explore those shapes with curiosity and playfulness, like that is amazing. But the journey is not about ending up at these destinations. The lessons to be learned in yoga are not in achieving these idealized shapes. So let's let go of this connection between flexibility and yoga once and for all. Thank you so much for checking out this video. This is a huge topic and we've only skimmed the surface. So I would love to hear what it's brought up for you in the comments. Please let me know. Until next time.